Hello guys, welcome to my review slash impressions video for the Longbeards DLC, which came out a couple of days ago for Total War Attila. This will be an honest review based on my own opinion, and it also means that this video is not sponsored at all. I will first analyze the DLC purely based on its content, reviewing the factions both in campaign and battles. After that I will review everything around the DLC as well. This means the early release, the price of the DLC, and I will also let you know if I agree with all the hate that's out there. But without further ado, let's get into it. So when you get the Longbeards DLC, you will get the following factions: the Langobards with an easy initial challenge starting out in the middle of Europe, the Alamans with a hard initial challenge starting out in the middle of Europe, and the Burgundians with a normal initial challenge starting out more in the north of Europe. So basically a faction for every skill type as well, which is good of course. They're all in the Barbarian Kingdoms culture group, and that means that they will get the same cultural trait as the Franks and the Saxons, minus 50% building conversion rate, which is handy but not that significant. Also the Germanic paganism religion for all these factions, which gives them an extra recruitment slot in all provinces, handy as well. Langobards, a really cool faction leader, probably my favorite in the game. Faction traits: we have double unit replenishment when taking on troops post battle. This is really good because a lot of players use this, and this will instantly gain you some more units when you finish a battle. And also plus 10 unit morale when fighting against armies of other religions. Very good as well. Plus 10 morale is a lot, especially for low tier units, so fun to play and good traits for the Langobard. The Alamans have Germanic unity and this very cool faction leader as well with a little crown. They have plus 50% to general's radius of influence, a unique trait and handy because of course the general gives a large morale boost to nearby friendlies, and also plus 15 melee attack versus Romans. This is just insane. This will change battles. 15 melee attack is a lot. This will just make you wreck the Roman legions, especially late game. So good and fun to play traits as well for them. Last but not least, the Burgundians with the spear faction leader. Unfortunately he's only using the spear on the campaign map by the way, but he looks cool. And for traits we have plus 10% unit replenishment. Isn't that significant, but it is handy of course. And plus 15 food for every region with poor fertility, and this is kind of unique because they started in the north, they are lacking food, so this is a handy addition. So for my own opinion, these factions are unique in my opinion. They're different than the Saxons and the Franks. The faction leaders look good and the trade look different from each other and fun to play with. So that is my first impressions of the factions. Let's jump into some campaign gameplay. So I want to welcome you guys to my Burgundian campaign. So I'm quite far into this campaign and I'm having a lot of fun. It's a challenge so far, so that's really good. 410 AD, so we're like 60 turns into the campaign right now, and I managed to capture these two provinces, and now I'm now trying to take out the Lugians basically. So yeah, I will just go over some new things right here. First of all, same went for the Viking Forefathers DLC. We have a unique set of chapter objectives and a unique set of victory objectives for every faction, which is cool. For example, this one, Interfluvial Dreams. Although the Burgundians blah blah blah, you can really see it's unique for this Burgundian faction right here. That's always good to give you a unique kind of objective in the game. Another good thing are new buildings. This is something we missed in the Viking Forefathers, and I also said this in my Viking Forefathers review. But in this DLC we have quite a lot of new buildings. The Burgundians only get one new chain, that's this one. They will basically get the curing shack, the smoke shed and the salt warehouse, and it gives a farming, a bonus income for regions with poor fertility. And it also gives you a lot of food bonuses, upkeep bonuses, and gives you access to crossbowmen and a garrison unit. So unique buildings. All the buildings also for the other factions are unique. There are quite a lot of them, and they do give the factions a unique feel. I'm really liking the unique buildings so far. That's a great addition. Really cool to play with. Something that was disappointing though is basically it's the Longbeards DLC. In every trailer and every screenshot we saw guys with beards, different kind of beards, and we also saw it for the faction leaders. Of course this is my faction leader in this case. However, the other characters, the other generals are all generic, like this guy. He's completely bald, no beard, and that was kind of, in my opinion, it would have been better if all those generals would get like a long beard, just to give them like the really long beard culture feel to them, because this is a culture pack, not just a faction pack. It's called a culture pack, so that was kind of disappointing for me. Now, something that's also included in this DLC is the Lay of Ebor event chain. So this is basically a chain of a couple of events where you need to choose about basically the future of a man in your nation. And it depends what you choose every time. You can like give him a sword or give him a book, I don't remember, but basically at the end of the story you will get a general, and that general will have the different skills depending on the choices you've made. In this campaign I also got Ibor, the Wrath of Godon he's called. He looks really cool and he's just amazing. In my case he got 10 zeal, and that depends on the choice you make. And his traits are amazing, like, let's see, melee attack plus 18, melee damage plus 15%, plus 5%, oh that's something different, plus 6 melee defense. As you can see, just a ton of bonuses. This general is so good. So the idea of this event chain is really good and it's funny, however, it isn't like fleshed out as much as I would have seen. The story of Ibor is over before turn 25 most of the time. In my case it was over before turn 25. So in turn 25, when the campaign just started, you already got this really sweet looking general, but the story is over, that's it basically. The only difference you can get when you choose different options is that sometimes he will have 10 cunning, and sometimes he will have 10 authority, sometimes he will have 10 zeal. It doesn't really matter that much, you will always get the good looking general. So the idea of this chain is good, however it isn't as fleshed out as I would have hoped, to be honest. Now another thing this DLC adds on the campaign are some new traits, that's good as well. I asked for this as well in my Viking Forefathers review. We didn't have it back then, but we do have it right now, so that's a cool addition. So that's for the campaign. In my, of course, the units are in there as well, but we will talk about them in a second. Overall, the campaign feels different from the Saxons and from the Franks because of the buildings, because of the generals, and because of the traits, and because of the units. So I feel like these campaigns really differ from each other, and I'm liking the campaign so far. So here we are in the custom battle screen, taking a really quick look at the new factions rosters, and that's because I made a separate video about the units already. Link to that video is in the description and in the comment section and on the screen right now. And I will basically explain the rosters, explain the units, and show you the units in that video as well. So all I want to say about the roster right now is that they're really different from each other. All the three factions have a different focus. They're all based on the Germanic unit roster, but the Langobards are focused on melee infantry. The Alamans we're looking at are more all-round powerful, and the Burgundians are especially powerful in the skirmisher and cavalry department. So all a different focus. That's definitely an improvement over the Viking Forefathers, where every faction was basically the same. So as a conclusion of the content of this DLC, it's great in my opinion. The best culture pack we've seen in Rome 2 and Total War Attila combined. The Viking Forefathers was like a step up to this because the Viking Forefather pack didn't have new buildings, didn't have new traits, didn't have the event chain, didn't have the unique faction rosters, and didn't have as much units as in this one. They're still the same price though, but we will get into that later. All the new campaign content, like the traits, the new buildings, the event chain, and the new units really make the campaigns unique and feel different from the Saxon and Franks campaign. So if you're just looking at content, yes, I do feel like this is a good DLC, and I would recommend buying it if you want to spend the money and if you get bored with the existing faction in the game. Maybe in the sale, that's up to you of course, but I recommend this DLC. I recommend the content of it. Now I will go a little bit deeper about the things around the DLC. Of course, there's a lot of hate about the DLC, and I want to give my opinion about that. First of all, the price. So this DLC was supposed to be free. Well, not supposed to be, but it could have been free. The Total War and the Company of Heroes community, well, not the communities, but the teams, the developers, are all every year holding an event, Make War Net Love. And basically, to keep a long story short, the winner of that event will get a piece of DLC for free. If Total War would have won, because we didn't win, we would have gotten this Longbeard DLC for free. Of course, the companies talked with Sega about this, so deadlines are being set in advance, of course. If this DLC would have been free, no one would have complained, because the DLC would have been free. There's a lot of good and unique content in it, and people will just love playing this, and they didn't have to pay anything really. Now, of course, it feels like a ripoff because this DLC came out way too soon, like a week after release. If this got released like 4 weeks later, people would probably be less hateful because the content is good, as I just showed you, as I just explained. However, releasing it like 1 week after just feels like a money grab to a lot of people, and that's like a mistake from their part. That's not good marketing, of course, because you don't want to lose your community just because of a DLC. That's not like, DLC will not make you rich compared to like the entire DLC system or like a new game. So one piece of DLC is just not worth the hate they're getting right now. So it's just unlucky as well that we didn't get this for free, but they should have just delayed it for a couple of weeks to, well, just make it feel better for the community, because the game is just 1 week old and that's just insane, of course. So I agree with you guys, it's way too early, but the price is fine. If you just have to look at the content and this would have been released later, the price is fine in my opinion, especially compared to all other culture packs, because they all are the same price. This is just a good price compared to other games, compared to other DLCs. It's a good price for the content you're getting. However, there were mistakes made with the release date, because yeah, it also feels like this could have been in the main game already, of course. So that's just a mistake on their part. This should never have been released this early. However, the content is good, so just think about that. Make a decision for yourself. Do you want to get it or don't you want to get it? Hopefully you found this useful, and I will hopefully see you in the next video. Bye bye.